Welcome to this course module of communication engineering. So in the last lecture, we have seen one of the topic that related to how to generate the AM signal using a square law modulator. We have already seen how to generate it, and we also seen how it can be demodulated using the square law demodulator. So now after this topic, as I said, there is one more very popular demodulator that we generally use for conventional AM, which is known as envelope detector. Okay, so that we have to look at. Okay, so how this envelope detector is working. So to start with, we have to understand that, as I said, that in the conventional AM case, okay, we have seen that the conventional AM equation, time domain equation, that was our SAMT was equals to like AC in bracket 1 plus mu. Then it is either MT you can write, or we can write mu cos 2 pi FMT, then bracket closed, and cos 2 pi FCT. That was the standard equation in the case of single tone modulation. Okay, so we will be just taking up the example of single tone modulation only. Okay, similarly you can follow it for the multitone. Okay, so it is same explanation can also be valid for the multitone case. So what we said, that whatever we are multiplying in front of any cosine signal whose frequency is very high, as compared to the factor which is multiplied in front of that cosine function, that will become the envelope. Okay, so this is what our waveform was. Okay, we have already seen it. So after doing the modulation of the carrier, okay, after doing the modulation of our sinusoidal carrier, this get modulated and it will take this particular form. Okay, it will be changing its amplitude based on the amplitude of the masses signal, and then the envelope of this particular carrier signal is actually containing the message part. Okay, this is our message. Okay, so this message is actually available in the envelope part of this particular carrier. Okay, or you can say that the variation that is took place due to the modulation effect, okay, in the amplitude of the carrier signal, that becomes the envelope, and that is actually represents the message signal. So basically this message part we need to extract. Okay, we need to extract this particular message part, this all tips. Okay, you remember that this dash line is actually drawn just for the explanation, but in the actual signal only this carrier signal will be available. Okay, so this dotted line is actually just to we are joining this all the tips. Okay, maximum points, so that we will be able to see that this maximum point, if we join them, then it will look like our masses signal. Okay, it will look like just our masses signal. Okay, so basically, as we know that this carrier is actually containing the message part in the form of its envelope. Now we can just want to extract this envelope part. Okay, so that can be done by a very simple circuitry. Okay, the circuitry is shown here in the circuit. Okay, in this picture. So here we can see that a very simple circuit can be used, that will be used for just extracting this particular envelope part. So how it can be done, that we have to look at. Okay, so please see this in this case, here we have to connect our AM signal. Okay, followed by a particular diode. Okay, and then we have a very simple circuitry in which we have the capacitor and resistor. Okay, so let's see how this circuit works. So basically, how to understand the working of this particular circuit is, you try to understand that this diode, as we know that the diode will be turned on whenever it is forward biased. Okay, and it is crossing its cut in voltage. Okay, then it will be conducting heavily, and it will be considered as a short circuit or turn on condition of any circuits. Okay, so it will be like acting like a closed circuit. So whenever it is in the reverse bias, then there will be a very minimal amount of current will flow, or you can say that it will be offering a very high resistance, so it will be acting like an open circuit. Okay, So basically the switching characteristics of the diode will be considered here. Okay, like it is sometimes it is acting like a on switch, sometimes it is acting like a off switch. Okay, so when it will be acting like a on switch, when it is forward biased, when it is reverse biased, it will be acting like a off switch. This is how this diode actually works here. So now whenever this EM signal is having its voltage which is greater than the cut-in voltage, okay, generally this will be turned on, and in that case this capacitor is going to charge, okay, through this diode, right? So whenever this voltage is very high, okay, or it is its anode of this diode is at more potential than the cathode terminal, okay, cathode terminal, that time this diode will be turned on, and a current will flow, and through this current this capacitor is going to charge. Fine. So we have to understand its working like this. So for example, for a particular case, let us suppose because here the carrier is rapidly changing, okay, carrier is rapidly changing with its carrier frequency fc, okay, with its magnitude is depending on the message part of the message, means message part of the signal, okay. So based on the message, magnitude will be different in the different cycles, okay. So let us suppose if we consider this particular cycle in which this carrier signal is coming, okay, carrier signal is coming, and as soon as the carrier signal is crossing this zero line, okay, means it's become positive, right? It become positive magnitude. Fine. So in the positive half cycle of this particular carrier, if we consider this diode to be ideal, it will be turned on because it will become forward biased, and certainly because of it is turning on, this capacitor is going to charge through this diode, okay. So it will charge, and when it is at up to the maximum value, okay, once it is reaching up to the maximum value, this capacitor will be charged fully, and it will be means charged up to its maximum value, okay, whatever be the maximum value that this signal is having, okay. So whatever be its maximum value, whatever be its peak value, up to that this capacitor will charge. And then again, when this input carrier signal is decreasing, okay, you can see here that here it is decreasing again, okay, because it is a fastly rapidly changing very fast, means very high frequency carrier signal, okay. So when it is starts decreasing, okay, very rapidly, you can see that once the capacitor is being charged, it will not discharge quickly, okay. So this is the discharging path of the capacitor, okay. Here we can see that this is the discharging path of the capacitor, and obviously this capacitor is going to discharge through this particular resistance, okay. So what we can understand is capacitor was initially means when it was not charged, if we consider the first cycle, okay, then it was charged up to its maximum value, okay, at this peak value. So once this charged up to a peak value, then again when this carrier signal is means going down, at that time we can see that this cathode will become more positive than the anode point, okay. So this cathode terminal will be at a higher potential than the anode terminal, and therefore it will become a reverse bias, and there will be no current through this diode flow. And therefore we can see that up to that this capacitor will be finding this particular path, and it will start discharging through this particular resistance, okay. So it will discharge, and again when it is means this particular cycle is repeating, okay, it is going down, it will have its magnitude becomes negative, and then again it will come back, okay, it will again increasing and up to this time, okay. In this particular picture we have shown that a capacitor has discharged up to a certain value, okay. So as soon as the voltage at this point becomes greater than this discharged value of the capacitor, okay, then again it will this anode terminal will become positive, okay, and this cathode terminal will become negative, okay. So again this capacitor is going to charge when this diode will turn on, okay. So you can understand that in the first cycle the diode was completely on, then after that it was off, and this capacitor was discharging, and again from this point to this point, okay, here you can see that the diode will become forward biased, and again it will starts conducting, and then capacitor is again starts charging. Okay, so once again it will charge up to its maximum value, and then again when this starts decreasing, okay, due to its cosine nature, when it starts decreasing, then again this capacitor will starts discharging, okay, through this resistance R. So what we can understand from this is basically if we adjust the this discharging time constant of this capacitor, okay, in such a way that it should be able to like follow the variation of this envelope, okay, it should be able to follow this variation of this envelope, okay, of the message signal, right? So whatever be this carrier signal that we have in this envelope, we are having the message part, okay. So basically if this discharging profile, okay, whatever be the discharging profile of the capacitor, if it is almost similar to the envelope of your message part of this particular carrier signal, then obviously we will be able to extract the message from this carrier, okay. We will be able to extract the message from this carrier, because message is available as the envelope of this particular carrier, okay, in the form of envelope. So now this is how this circuit works, okay. This is very simple circuit, it is very cheap circuit, okay, and its functionality is very simple, but you have to understand how it works, okay. What are the conditions that we have to understand? So the first thing that we can think of is let's suppose that if you see basically in this case when our carrier is changing, okay, very rapidly, we can see that from this tip to tip we can find out that this will be our carrier time period, okay. This is the one period of the carrier, okay. You please do not bother about that particular definition of the time period when this two tips should have the same same value, okay, because when we talk about the periodic signal, okay, for the case of periodic signal we generally define the period, okay. So after which it is repeating the same value, so that particular function should take the same value, but here it is not the same case that the function is going to take the same value, but we know that what is the frequency of this, that frequency is fc, okay. And so we know that when the frequency is fc, okay, the carrier frequency was fc, so obviously this time period will be tc equals to 1 upon fc. Similarly, we know that this variation is corresponding to our message signal, okay. So we already seen that our message signal carrier frequency we have seen, like we have taken as f equals to fm, okay. So from this tip to this tip, okay, we can say that this time period will be tm equals to 1 upon fm, okay. That will be the time period. So now based on these two time periods we have to think about, okay. So first of all we can define there are two time constant of this particular circuit. The first time constant, that obviously we can see that in the forward bias this diode is going to offer a very little amount of resistance, okay, and there will be a charging time constant of this particular capacitor, okay. So I will be calling this charging time constant equals to RSC, okay. So charging time constant will be RSC. I think you must be aware about these things, okay. In any circuitry, if you want to calculate the resistor capacitor circuit, okay, time constant will belong means will be given by a resistance multiplied with the capacitor, okay. Please, if you do not have this idea, please go through any networks book, okay, circuit theory books, so that you will be having these ideas, okay. So charging time constant where this rs is nothing but it is the resistance offered by this particular this particular diode in the forward bias condition, okay. So what we are saying that this should be as small as possible, okay. Even if it is zero, there is no harm, okay. Zero means the capacitor will quickly means charge with this voltage, okay. Whatever with the voltage, that the same voltage will directly be appear across the capacitor, it will be charged quickly, okay, within no time, okay. So there is no harm if it is very small, or even if it is zero, okay, there is no harm. Obviously we need that it should be uh, completely following this one, okay. So it should completely charge or quickly charge whatever be the voltage that we have applied, okay. This is fine, but now we have to think about what should be the discharging time constant, okay. So you just try to understand this concept, because when we talk about the discharging time constant, okay, one thing that we have to understand, that this discharging time constant should be large. It should not be small. Okay, it should be large. Okay. So one thing that we can understand directly from this picture itself is, if let us suppose, if discharging time constant is also very small, let us suppose that, then what happens is, when it has charged up to this point, if the discharging time constant will be small, then you know that this discharging will take place very rapidly. Okay, it will discharge very quickly. So once it is charged up to this point, okay, let us suppose, then what will happen, that it will discharge quickly. As soon as this particular voltage starts decreasing, it may discharge up to this point. Okay, there may be chances that it will, like in this particular figure I have plotted in this way. Okay, so in this picture it is plotted in this way. Okay, so if let us suppose that this is discharging very quickly, that time what happens is, there may be a chances that this may be discharged up to this point. Okay, so let me take one pen. Okay, then we can discuss it. So basically what can be possible is, if it is discharging, and let us suppose that if it is something like this, okay, if it is discharging too quickly, okay, like this, or if it is like this, okay, like this, okay, so that time what will happen is, again in the next cycle it will discharge quickly. Okay, it will discharge quickly. So if it is discharging too quickly, okay, as compared to the previous one, okay, then you can understand that in this cases, okay, here we can see clearly that, here you can see that in this picture, okay, it will discharge quickly, and then again it will charge, and again it will discharge quickly, again it will charge. So basically whatever be the zigzag waveform we are going to get at the output, okay, this is our output voltage, that output voltage will be not similar to our envelope part. Okay, so basically what we need to have is, we need to have this discharging constant should be large. Okay, it cannot be very small. If it is very small, obviously the waveform that we are going to get at the output, that waveform will not be similar to our envelope part. Okay, it is not similar to our envelope part. So basically it is not able to mimic it part. Okay, mimic this particular envelope. So basically, first thing that we have understood, that it should be not very small, okay, but it should be a large value. Okay, it should not discharge quickly. It should not discharge quickly. Okay, so this is what we are writing. Discharging time constant should be large. Okay, so here we have written one condition like this RC product. RC means the time constant, discharging time constant, R into C. Okay, so this value should be much larger than 1 upon fc. What is 1 upon fc? So 1 upon fc is nothing but the time period of our carrier. Okay, so this is our time period, right? So it should be very larger than that one. Okay, so what we know that about the charging or discharging time constant, how the time constant is defined. So if we defining the discharging time constant, then uh, if you define simply the discharging time constant, then the discharging time constant is defined as like for one uh, time constant, if you consider, then whatever be the its maximum value, only 36.78% will remain there. Okay, so let us suppose if it is uh, charged up to this value, so when the time constant, one time constant completes, then it will just only 36.78% of its maximum value will remain there. Okay, this is what how we have defined the our time constants. Okay, so basically when we define 4 time constant or 5 time constant, it means that our the completely our means the charge value of the capacitor will be completely discharged. Okay, it will be discharged 100%. Okay, fully discharged. But basically when we talk about 1 time constant, okay, that time what happens, it is like only you can say means 100 minus 36%, so it will be somewhere around 74%. Okay, so somewhere around 74% got discharged. Only 74% of its maximum value got discharged. Okay, so this is how we define the time constant. But what we are saying that this RC time constant should be much, much larger than the 1 upon FC. Okay, it should be greater than that. So this should be greater than, obviously that should be greater than that. Okay, so that it will be able to follow the envelope. Okay, now we have to think of, if it is greater than that, okay, then is there any upper limit for this RC time constant, or it can be anything, or it can be infinity. Okay, because we are saying that RC should be a large value, then how large it can be. Okay, so basically it cannot be infinity, it cannot be a very high value that we have to think of. Okay, it cannot be very high value. So basically what happens is, if it is very high, for example, in this case here we have considered, like, let us suppose that this discharging time constant is too large, means it is discharging very slowly, okay, very slowly. Then what happens is, once it has charged up to this value, okay, and now when this particular cycle comes, you can see that it is discharging very slowly. So whenever the peak of this next cycle comes, okay, whenever the peak of the next cycle comes, because it is discharging very slowly, we can see that this peak point is actually, this particular discharging profile is not able to follow. Okay, this peak point. In the previous case here, we can see that all the peak points have been followed. Okay, all these peak points have been followed. Okay, in the previous case here, you can see that when the discharging time constant is not too large or neither too small, in that case what happens, it is following this all the peak points. Okay, it is charging, then it is discharging, again it is charging, again discharging, charging, again discharging, okay, again charging, then again discharging, again charging. In that way it is following all the peak points. Okay, all the peak points, and we have to follow all the peak points so that this envelope can be detected. Okay, so that its envelope can be detected. But if it is too large, then what happens, once again you just try to understand, when it is charged up to this point, okay, so when it is discharging time is too large, then it will be discharging very slowly. And what happens, it is never able to follow these peak points, because whenever the next peak comes, it has discharged up to a certain value which is again greater than the peak value of this particular AM signal. Okay, so it will never charge, this diode will never turn on. Okay, it will never turn on. So you can see that diode is never turning on because it is remaining in reverse bias. Okay, because capacitor voltage is greater than the voltage of this carrier, peak value of the carrier in the next cycle. Okay, so again it is discharged up to this value through this resistor. Again, when next cycle comes, again at this peak point, again it is discharging slowly. Okay, so it is not able to follow the peak points, okay, of this particular envelope. So now after a large amount of time, what we can see that this particular discharging profile of the capacitor has reached to this particular value. Now after so many cycles that have been skipped, okay, it is not able to follow its peak value. Now after this amount of time, this particular peak will be detected by this capacitor. Okay, so basically this the function of the capacitor here is to detect the peak values of this particular carrier. Okay, peak value of this particular carrier. So at this point now it is able to follow. Now it will follow up to this point. Again the next cycle will come, it will start discharging very slowly. Okay, so whenever this type of profile of the in the input carrier signal occurs, okay, then this part will be skipped. Okay, this part will be skipped. This variation would not appear, or your capacitor will not be able to follow this particular variation. Okay, so basically this portion of the masses signal will be skipped. We will not be able to skip, you can say, or you can say that it will be clipped. Okay, so basically when you see the waveform, you will be able to see this waveform. Okay, obviously you will be able to see this waveform, and then again only this waveform will appear in the output. You will not be able to see this waveform. Okay, so basically what happens is a certain portion of the masses signal will be clipped. Okay, and generally whenever the RC constant is too large, this particular phenomenon is called as the diagonal clipping. Okay, here I have written it is as a diagonal clipping. So try to understand that our time constant, discharging time constant should not be very large. Okay, should not be very large. It is large value, but it is having a certain limitation. So how this upper limitation is there? So upper limitation is actually given by this. Okay, this condition. So 1 upon FC, this RC time constant should be much larger than 1 upon FC, but it should be much lesser than 1 upon F. Okay, it should be much lesser than 1 upon Fm, because we have defined here it is 1 upon Fm here, and this is our Tm, okay, time period. Basically 1 upon Fm represents the time period. So basically time period of our massive signal. So it should be much lesser than that. Okay, you remember this condition. This condition is very crucial. Now we can define another equation, okay, for this time constant, RC time constant. Okay, so I hope this discussion must be clear. We will be deriving the equation for the RC time constant, which is very important thing. Okay, so basically we have to define what is the upper limit of the RC time constant to ensure the envelope detection. So as I said in the previous case that basically this capacitor is going to detect the peak values of the envelope, okay, and then it will start discharging slowly, okay, it will discharge at a certain finite rate, so that it will be able to mimic or copy, or you can say follow the envelope. It should be neither too large nor too small. Okay. So basically this capacitor will charge, and then we know that whenever the capacitor discharges or charges, it is following the exponential law. Okay. So we will talk about that. Let us suppose that a particular cycle, any particular cycle, okay, when this capacitor charges up to its peak value. Okay, here I have just shown in this picture like E, but you just consider that this is represented as E1. So what is this E1? E1 is the peak value of this particular carrier at a certain time instant. Okay, so whenever the capacitor is charging up to its peak value at any time instant t, okay, then its discharging profile will be given by this exponential law. Okay, this is the discharging profile of the capacitor. Okay, so basically when this voltage we will be seeing in the oscilloscope, okay, VCT. So this capacitor voltage, okay, it will be following this particular exponential discharge law. Okay, it will be following E1 e to the power minus t upon RC. So basically this exponential discharging law will be followed. So now we can just expand this exponential series by Taylor's expansion. So in the Taylor series expansion, we can we know that it will be like if e to the power minus x, we can write it as 1 minus x plus x square by 2 factorial minus x x square, yes, minus x cube divided by 3 factorial and so on. So basically here we know that because RC time constant is much larger than 1 upon FC, because this value will be much larger, very high value, okay, RC. So basically this factor will become very small. So whenever this factor like e to the power minus x, when x is very small, then we can neglect the higher order terms, okay, because all the higher order terms will become negligibly small, okay, as compared to its first two terms. Like, so we will be just keeping the first two term of the exponential series or Taylor's expansion series. So we can get this expression like VCT equals to E1 1 minus t upon RC. Okay, 1 minus t upon RC, because here the x is nothing but your t upon RC. And we have just neglected the all higher order terms because RC is very large value. Okay, so overall your t upon RC will become very small. So basically this discharge will be actually we have approximated, okay, approximated as a linear discharge. Okay, as means it is represented by this linear discharge. Okay, linear equation. Discharge a discharging of this capacitor will be represented by a linear equation. Okay, E1 1 minus t upon RC. So basically when it is capacitor voltage discharge is represented by this particular linear equation, then we can also get the slope of the discharge. So basically what is the slope of the discharge? We can calculate dVc upon dt. So that will be equals to obviously minus E1 upon RC. So we can just differentiate this equation. This will become 1, okay, because it is just t. So there will be a negative sign. So minus E1 upon RC. So basically this is the slope of the discharge. Now we have to think about to ensure the envelope detection. So what we mean to say the ensure the envelope detection means this discharging profile should be able to follow the envelope, okay, envelope of this carrier. So how this can be possible? This slope of the discharge, okay, which is the magnitude of the slope of this discharge, okay, which is E1 upon RC, okay. Here you see that it is a negative sign, but I'm just talking about the magnitude of the slope of the discharge. This should be greater than the magnitude of the slope of the envelope, okay, slope of the envelope. So basically, when we talk about the slope of the envelope, okay, so because we, in this case, you can see we are having this particular slope, okay, of this particular envelope. Let us say that this envelope is represented by ET, okay, ET. So that ET will be equals to, here it is AC1 plus mu cos 2 pi FMT. Okay, that will be our envelope part. So when we have this particular envelope part, then if we like calculating the its slope of this particular envelope, then it is similar to calculate the tangent. Okay, just if you draw the tangent of any curve, that will become the slope of that particular curve at that particular time. Okay, a particular time if you want to calculate the tangent. Okay, so what we can do is we can calculate the slope of this particular curve. Okay, so that can be calculated by calculating the differentiation of that particular equation. So this envelope is represented as AC1 plus mu cos 2 pi FMT. Now, why we are writing this condition, that we have to understand. Okay, so in the previous case only we can see here that this is our let us suppose that here we have one of the discharge rate of our capacitor. Okay, a slope of the discharge of our capacitor. Okay, so it is the slope of discharge of the capacitor, and if we want to calculate the slope of the envelope, then we can see, let us say that we have this line. Okay, so what we are writing is, what we are saying is, from this condition is that this rate of discharge, okay, slope of the discharge, okay, the rate of discharge you can say, or slope of the discharge of our capacitor. Okay, this magnitude, here you can see that the magnitude of the slope is greater for this green line. Okay, because it is making more angle from this particular horizontal line. So because the slope of this green line is more than the slope of this particular orange line. Okay, so basically what we can say, that because we are talking about the magnitude, so what we are saying that the slope of this particular discharge should be greater than or equal to the slope of our envelope. Okay, so let us suppose that this is the slope of our envelope. Okay, if we have our envelope and if we differentiate it, it is similar to calculating the tangent of that particular like curve. Then that tangent, if represented like this, okay, then obviously this slope of the tangent or slope of the envelope should be less than the slope of the discharge. Okay, or maximally possible value is that the slope of the discharge should be equal to this particular slope of the envelope. Okay, so this orange line represents the slope of the envelope. So if it is greater than that, okay, what will happen? Okay, that is a question. If this green line goes above this orange line, it means that the slope of the discharge is less than the slope of the envelope. Okay, in that case, we have already seen in the last case that there may be a chances of envelope diagonal clipping. Okay, because in this case, here we have the slope. Okay, slope of the discharge. Okay, this is the slope of the discharge, but the tangent for this curve will be this. Okay, the tangent of this curve will be this. So basically we can see that the slope of the discharge is less than the slope of our this particular tangent. Okay, so basically this is what this equation represents. Okay, you try to understand why we are writing that the slope of the discharge should be greater than or equal to slope of the envelope. This is very important to understand. Okay, so basically, this ET is nothing but our envelope part. Okay, so this envelope part is AC1 plus mu cos 2 pi FMT as we have defined. So we can calculate this DET upon DT, okay, or the slope of the envelope. That will be equals to a minus mu AC omega m sine omega mt. Okay, you can calculate it easily. You will get this equation. Now, once we calculate this slope, now we can write this expression for all time t. Okay, so as I said that this even t is nothing but it is representing the peak value of the envelope at any time instant t equals to, let us say, t1 or t0 or t2, whatever. Okay, So if we wish to write the same equation for all the time, this even t is nothing but the same envelope equation. Okay, even t will be, because whenever we want to calculate this peak value, okay, this even t or will be calculated by substituting a particular time t, okay, at which this equation will give you the maximum value. Okay, so basically this even is nothing but the same equation of the envelope, because we have to calculate anyhow even t by substituting a time value t equals to something. Okay, so that we are going to get a certain particular value. Okay, so for all the time t, what we can say that this even t, okay, it will be following the same envelope equation. So AC 1 plus mu cos 2 pi FMT is the equation, then divided by RC. We are just substituting in this even t. Okay, in this even we are substituting the value of ET here, and then it is greater than equals to, and then we have to substitute this DT upon DT. So this is equals to minus mu AC omega m sin omega. So once you will be substituting this one, so please try to see this. We are just substituting the magnitude part. Okay, so we are just putting the magnitude. We are not keeping the sign minus. So this is our equation. Okay. So after having this equation, we can do a little bit modification. Okay, AC and AC will be cancelled out, and then this RC can be cross multiplied, and then we can get this expression RC, which is less than equals to 1 plus mu cos 2 pi FMT divided by mu omega m sin omega mt. This is very important equation for RC. Okay, very important equation for RC, right? So you remember this expression. This is very much useful for many numerical problems. Now we can again go further, and we can solve this equation like what will be the maximum possible value of the RC. Okay, what is the maximum possible value? So basically the maximum possible value of this RC will be depending on the minimum possible value of this particular equation in the right hand side. Okay, whatever be the minimum value of this expression, because it is a time dependent equation, we can see that its numerator and denominator both are time dependent terms. So basically right hand side is a time dependent term. So basically whenever this time dependent term will achieve its minimum value, okay, uh, that minimum value dictates the maximum possible value of the RC. Okay, so to calculate that one, what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the minimum possible value of this right hand side of the equation number 3. Fine. So to finding that one, we have to calculate the minimum of the right hand side of that particular equation number 3 to ensure the envelope detection. So how it can be calculated? We can just go for the differentiation. We can go for the minima calculation procedure, okay, in which we have to calculate the differentiation. Then after differentiating it, we have to calculate the values. Okay, we have to calculate the values. We have to establish the relationship, okay, between the different factors. So once you will just do this one, okay, you have to differentiate it, and then you have to just do this simplifications. Okay, you will be able to calculate the cos omega mt equals to minus mu. Okay, then again, to just ensure that whether it is the minima point or the maxima point, you have to just follow that one. Like if we substitute cos omega mt equals to minus mu into that expression, then and this expression will become positive or negative. Okay, so that way we have to decide that whether it is a maxima or minima. So basically if we differentiate it, okay, we will get that the cos omega mt equals to minus mu is going to give you the minima point for this particular equation. So once we are having this cos omega mt equals to mu, we can again calculate sin omega mt. Okay, that will be equals to root over 1 minus mu square. Okay, so after having these two values, okay, we can substitute these two values into equation number 3. Okay, you please ensure that it is a simple mathematics. Okay, so you try to do this one. It is very simple mathematics. We have to calculate the minima. You have just to follow the minima procedure, how to calculate the minima for any equations. Okay, you have to differentiate it. You have to get the values, and those values have to be substituted back to the equations. Okay, and then you have to ensure that whether this equation becomes positive or negative. Okay, if it is becoming positive, then it is a minima. Or if it is negative, then it will be becoming maxima. So that way you have to do it. Okay, So try to do that. Obviously, you have to do this means second order differential equation. Again, you have to do the differentiation. Again, you have to do all those steps. Okay. So I'm not discussing those points. I'm just trying to tell you that after doing this minima expression, okay, means after finding the minima, okay, you are going to get this two expression cos omega mt and sin omega mt. Okay. And then after putting this equation number 4 and 5 into equation number 3, obviously we can you can just see cos omega mt is equals to minus mu. So in the last expression we have cos 2 pi fmt, so here it can be substituted as equals to mu, and sin omega mt is equals to root over 1 minus mu square. So if you substitute those 1 minus mu square, it will become root over 1 minus mu square. So we are going to get RC, which is less than equals to 1 upon omega root over 1 minus mu square divided by mu. So basically here you can see that this maximum value of the RC, okay, RC should be less than equals to 1 upon omega m, okay, root over 1 minus mu square upon mu. It is independent of time. Here you can see in this expression, okay, and basically it is dictated by the our magnitude of message frequency. It is 1 upon omega m, means it is 1 upon 2 pi fm. So basically it is depending on the maximum message frequency. Okay, so that I have already written in the first slide itself, okay, in which we have written that this RC should be very less than 1 upon fm. So I hope this discussion must be clear. If you find any difficulty in this topic, let me know, and please drop the message in the comment box. So I will be discussing more topics, okay, like double sideband suppressed carrier modulation scheme in the next lecture. So be connected with the channel to get the more updates. Thank you for watching. If you have any query, please drop the message in the comment box. Thank you.